semi-hidden in the bushes, somebody with a rifle. So that really impressed the hell. I didn't know if they were protecting us or if they were assassins. Luckily, they weren't assassins. There were a lot of other presidents, but why go through them?
Have you met Obama?
Oh, I'll tell you about Obama. We did a comic book with him on the cover, Spider-Man and Obama, and he didn't invite me to the White House. But I have used him in a story I've told often. When people say to me, what was it like doing comics years ago? And I say, comics had absolutely no respect. I'm going back to the 50s. Parents wouldn't let their kids read comics. Everybody hated them. And I would go to a party, and somebody would say to me, what do you do? Well, I knew what was coming. So I say, I'm a writer, and I start walking away. And they follow me. What do you write? And I kept walking. I say, hey, children's stories. And I keep walking. What kind of children's story? At some point, I had to say comic books, and then the guy would turn around as if I had the plague and walk away. Today, it's different. Here's where Obama comes in. Today, I'm at a party, and I hear somebody say, excuse me a minute, President Obama, I think I just saw Stan Lee walking. If you believe that as a Christian Muslim, I'll tell you.
Since we are at Bookcon, what book's on Stan Lee's nightstand these days?
Oh, I'm sorry you asked that. Now this is a tragic story. I'm not able to read books anymore. My eyesight and my hearing have both. I know I sit here looking like the most perfect physical specimen you have ever seen. And I probably am, but I cannot see well enough to read a book, and I cannot hear well enough to do this too often. So I don't, in the office, when they give me a memo, they do it on the computer and they use size 20 font or something so that I can read it. And it's really my biggest regret. I cannot read a book, I cannot read a newspaper, and all I can do is watch television and hope that the picture is clear enough. But I'm not looking for pity, because I've really read a lot of books. It's not as though I've never read books. I know what a book is. I like books. I'm all in favor of books.
What are some of your all-time favorite books?
My favorite book?
Your favorite book?
Oh golly, every book I've read is one of my, I've loved every book. I love the stories of Jules Verne. I love Edgar Allan Poe. I love Charles Dickens. I love Shakespeare. When I was young, I probably didn't understand, but I love the "What-ho, Horatio" type of dialogue, you know? And I love the Hardy Boys. I loved everything I read. To me, reading is the greatest thing there is in the world. And books, when I was a kid, my father was unemployed most of the time, so we were always worried about money. We lived in this little apartment facing the rear of the Bronx, and really reading books was about, and going to a movie once every month when I saved up the money. It was the only thing that provided any entertainment or enjoyment or even knowledge. So I know you're the wrong audience to say this to, but I really love books.
You've lived a very, very fruitful life, and it doesn't seem like you're stopping anytime soon. But looking back, kind of, what are the 2 best days, professionally and personally, that you've ever had?
You know, that's the toughest question in the world. This is one of the best days I've had. You people are a great audience. I hope you have a lot of time, because I don't tend to leave. I think maybe one of the days was when the first Marvel movie, the big movie came out, X-Men, and it did so well, and then Spider-Man did so well, and we realized we were onto something. I didn't know we'd take over the whole entertainment industry. The other good day that I just remember now, I haven't thought of this for years. I worked for this publisher who was not the brightest guy in the world. When I gave him the idea for Spider-Man, he hated it. He said, Stan, you can't call a character Spider-Man. People hate spiders. And it went on and on. The man was not the greatest. But anyway, he had a son who was working there also, because he owned the company, so he could have a son working there. And at one point, the company was bought by a small conglomerate. And he told this small conglomerate he wanted his son to become the publisher. Well, after the company was bought, they fired the son, and they made me the publisher. And you asked what was one of the best moments of my life. Oh, I can be vengeful.
Well, you mentioned the Marvel movies, and now we're going to have an Ant-Man movie about.
Why do you sound surprised?
I'm more happy than surprised. But do you take a lot of pride in that, kind of, there's so many characters that we all love, and now there's little, kids that are being introduced to them on the screen.
Well, now the kids are being introduced to them on Zodiac. See, I always have to find a way to get back. And Zodiac is unlike any other book. That was published by Disney, and POW is involved. POW, that's P-O-W, that's my company. And of course you all know it stands for Purveyors of Wonder. Now there's a name. Now let me tell you about names. We were called Atlas Comics. And after we did Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, and we knew we were onto something, I said, let's change the name of the company and get something meaningful. And I decided to call it Marvel, because I love advertising. And we could have an ads that say, make mine Marvel. Welcome to the Marvel age of comics, and Marvel marches on, stuff like that. You can see how corny I am. However, at the same time as we changed, or a little after we changed our name, a company called National Comics, which published Superman and Batman, they said, well, if they change their name, we'll change our name. And they saw that we had this great name, Marvel. So they paid. I didn't know there were people like this. They paid a specialist to come up with a great name for them. So we were Marvel. And what did the specialist come up with? DC. So maybe it's not that we're so good, it's that nobody else knows what they're doing. If there are any DC people there, I'm only kidding.
We have some time for audience questions if you
Don't ask anything that requires knowledge or information. Keep it general.
If you want to start a lineup here, then we can start. Actually, okay, that's enough. Sorry.
There are more people up here than sitting in the seats.
When, in a recent storyline, writer Dan Slott, the current Spider-Man writer, he killed off Peter Parker for a little bit. He came back, though. He's still alive. But, I mean, did he talk to you and ask for your blessing before he finished?
I might as well explain that. I had really nothing to do with the stories at Marvel anymore. I was not the guy who said kill Peter Parker, put him in Doc Ock's body or whatever. Those are clever ideas, but I cannot take the credit for it. I'm so busy going to meetings like this, making a fool of myself, that I don't do anything in Marvel anymore. And the only creative stuff I do really is for POW Entertainment and whatever I do for Disney. I'm trying to keep Disney afloat. I'm doing my best.
What were your biggest inspirations when you created characters like Spider-Man and Iron Man? Kind of what really inspired those for you?
You know, that's the toughest question in the world. Well, I'll take with I had already done the X-Men and maybe the Hulk, I can't remember the order, but my idiot publisher said to me, hey Stan, come up with another superhero, we're on a roll. So when you come up with a superhero, the first thing you have to do is figure out what is his power. So I had to come up with a new power, and I saw a fly crawling on the wall. And I said, gosh, if I could get a superhero who could stick to walls like an insect. So then I tried to think of a name. Insect Man? Nah, didn't do it. Mosquito Man? I got down to Spider Man, and somehow it sounded dramatic. Spider-Man. And I thought, gee, I could even have him shoot webs. So I ran to my publisher, and I think I mentioned this to you before. He said to me, oh, and I also wanted him to be a teenager, because I wanted to make him different than the other heroes. And again, to make him different, I wanted him to have personal problems. So I ran to my boss and I said, I told him what I wanted. He said, Spider-Man is the worst name in the world. You can't call him that. People hate spiders. And you want him to be a teenager? Stan, don't you realize teenagers can only be sidekicks? And then he said, and you want him to have personal problems? Stan, don't you know what a superhero is? They don't have personal problems. So I was not met with the most enthusiastic reception. However, we were about to kill a magazine. Now, when you're killing a magazine, nobody cares when you put it in the last issue. So to get it out of my system, I put Spider-Man in the last issue of that magazine, which was called Amazing Fantasy, and I put him on the cover. A month later, the sales figures came in, and it was our best-selling book.